What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another Dota 2 commentary. It's been a while, but Valve, in its infinite genius, has disabled some of the replays. Well, not intentionally. It was just a bit of a bug with the last patch, and this last patch has been really fun regardless, so can't really blame them too much. But a lot of the replays have been disabled, but fortunately, this replay was not disabled, so I'm going to be casting this with Shredkid once again. This is Navi vs. Mouse Game 2, and we're going to unpause in 3, 2, 1, unpause, 11, 12, 13, and so on. But in game 1, Navi beat Mouse with the Spectre strategy, and this is the first game that we're casting with the new patch, and overall we're seeing a lot more hero variety, but I think that can be largely attributed to the fact that heroes are in general more balanced.
Yeah, I think so too. A lot of heroes got their problems fixed from both ends, whether they're getting better or getting a little bit worse. But for the most part, we're just seeing the good heroes from the last patch are just kind of continuing over. I don't think people are really picking up too much new stuff. They're just picking up stuff that wasn't quite as picked as frequently, I think.
Yeah, I mean, you're seeing a lot of threads and Reddit saying, oh my god, this hero was picked, so on and so forth. But, like, that's one hero out of a full 5-man. The rest of the 4 hero compositions are usually standard unless you're playing against Quantic, who picks up all the heroes they possibly want. But unfortunately, this is not a Quantic game. This is Navi versus Mouse Sports, and these two teams are ridiculously hot. Mouse Sports has just been on a tear ever since they won the International Western qualifiers, and Navi has been looking quite sharp recently, beating Alliance in a couple of series, and just overall looking very dominant before their trip to China, and that should be overall a really exciting tournament. I'm really excited to see a group with Xerath as well as Navi, since those are the two teams I'm most looking forward to in the Alienware Cup in China.
Yeah, I didn't know too much about it, but I heard literally all the major teams are playing in that, right? And Navi?
Yeah,
so
all the big Asian teams, and then Xerath and Orange.
that's pretty exciting stuff.
Yeah. But anyways, going back to the draft, this is the new draft, of course, 6, 7, 8. So that means 2 bans, and then 2 picks, and then 2 bans, and then 2 picks. What's weird about this is that the team who has the first pick also has the last pick as well, which seems a little bit not right.
I don't know. I mean, it's really hard to say. Honestly, and this is a little bit of a stupid thing, but for me, the most confusing thing about the new ban pick is when you're seeing this on B-Ball's YouTube, you just see the screen that all the spectators see. But when you're drafting or you're a player, you see the screen that's like the old Dota pick screen, and instead of just being like 3 then 2 in picks, there's this whole new weird design with like 2 2 1 1 1. It's really confusing, and it's actually like it's hard to look at and know what you're seeing. Maybe it's just I'm not yet used to it yet. But
Yeah,
it's a small thing.
That could probably also, I feel like this patch was just transported in a hurry. I mean, it's a great patch, don't get me wrong, but in general, obviously people want to play as soon as possible, so Valve probably pushed it out the door sooner than they might have wanted, but still, not going to complain too much. Definitely been seeing a lot of variety, but Mouse going to open up their combination with Darkseid as well as Kunkka, so already getting the teamfight potential down, locking me on Navi, picking up the hero of the month and perhaps the next 3 months, Visage, along with Gyrocopter, who has been their trendy carry recently. I guess they really like having Havos contribute a lot of magical damage in the early game, as well as having some late game insurance to fall back on.
Yeah, Puppy kind of does this thing where he picks up one hero and he just kind of gets stuck on that. But as is normal, I start casting with you and my dog starts barking, so I'm going to go deal with him and mute my mic. Be right back.
Yep, so standard, as Mouse going to ban out the Enchantress. You can see in 2 of their 3 bans, they've already been out 2 of Puppy's trademark heroes in the form of Chen as well as Enchantress, and they're going to ban out the Nyx as well, so they really just don't want to be too hampered by the trial. And interestingly enough, Navi has not banned out the Lifestealer, and it is one of Mouse's favorite heroes. Keep in mind this game I think was played last week, but Lifestealer even then was still a very strong hero, even though he might not be as powerful in the trial because he doesn't have the best range initiation. A bit surprising that Mouse is going so long without picking up the Lifestealer, but I guess they don't really have any reliable setup in their pockets just yet without the Shadow Demon and without the Nyx being there, that they can't really go in and try to face a Visage 1v1 and a Gyrocopter as well. So I don't know, Lifestealer not being picked up is always a little bit odd, considering I think he was nerfed, but he's still a very powerful hero. But Navi gonna fortify their backline with a Clockwork choice, and this should be an offlane Clockwork being played by Funix. So Mouse Sports picking up a lot of interesting mid-game heroes, but the real problem for me is going to come into the trialing, because Visage, not only is he a master of trialing versus trialing, he's also quite strong if you just leave him to get a lot of experience by himself, because he just pulls, gets a lot of experience, and overall has a really strong mid-game. And meanwhile, Navi ban out the anti-mage, clearly respecting Black's anti-mage farm, and knowing that anti-mage could potentially hurt Navi quite a bit because Mouse Sports does have a pretty strong defensive lineup. Darkseer is a very defensive hero. It's always hard to push in against a Darkseer, as well as a Kunkka, whose torrents are much easier landing in choke points. And anti-mage, of course, really strong at split pushing, which will just make the game drag on longer and longer. So, not too atypical that Navi banned out. Of course, it's one of Black's favorite heroes as well. And just judging by the Black lineup factor, only Alchemist and Lone Druid are still at the pool, and interesting enough, Lone Druid has not been picked up either, so I guess both teams foregoing the usual standard carries of the last patch, even though they are still very high tier picks in this new patch that we've seen for the past week, both teams deciding against it thus far.
Yeah, and that's kind of weird, simply because a lot of teams have been still like first pick, first banning Nakes, but neither team has done anything about him yet, so that's kind of weird. I don't know. So there's one more pick and then one more ban and then one more pick left, right?
Yep. So
yeah.
It's
so
just...
Navi, I think, needs to get some form of reliable disable for like early game skirmishes, because while they got a lot of damage, like they have a ton of damage, if they get like one thing to hold somebody in place, I think they'll be really, really sad. There, that's perfect. Like the Puck ult is just going to hold people in place, and then Visage and Gyro can deal a ton of damage.
Yeah, and heroes like Puck, Queen of Pain, and even Darkseer, even though he got a vacuum nerf, I feel like are the true winners in this patch, because these heroes can definitely go mid lane and really dominate the opposition. Darkseer doesn't really need a bottle if he gets a Soul Ring. Puck can just room control really, really fantastically well. Queen of Pain can do that as well. So I feel like these heroes definitely benefited some of the most, at least in terms of mid lane status, and that's why you're not seeing Magnus in this game thus far. Even though Mouse do have an option to go for it, I really doubt that, because I think this will probably be a mid lane Kunkka, or perhaps even a mid lane Darkseer if Mouse want to go on the offensive, but going offensive against Visage and Gyrocopter, not always the best idea.
It's really tricky to play Kunkka mid against Puck, because what happens is he'll phase shift, and he'll be able to phase shift pretty much all of your harass. And sure, you can like cancel your hit and then hit Puck after phase shift, but it means that you missed the last hit because he just phase shifts according to the last hit. So I don't know if Kunkka's going to be mid, because that's a pretty hard matchup, and plus he's got a Bane with him, so it might be a Kunkka tri-lane. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, they do have that easy access into Nightmare, into Torrent setup, but I don't know. I feel like Kunkka is not the best defensive tri-lane hero, and the offensive tri-lane potential of Mouse, I feel like it won't be enough to match up against Gyrocopter and Visage, just because Visage is so strong. What are your thoughts on Visage? Just because he's been trending
top 5 hero, definitely. Has been for a really long time. I was actually amazed that it took teams so long to start picking him up again, because once the tri-lane versus tri-lane thing started happening again, everybody knows that Visage is like the best at that. And they weren't picking him for a while, and then eventually the Chinese team started picking him, and then the Western teams go, oh my god, this hero is actually like S tier status, so I think he's way too good and should have gotten like a huge nerf this last patch. Like, even as much as Nakes, but oh well.
Yeah, I mean, Visage, not only is Soul Assumption ridiculously powerful, but if you look at the mechanics of Grave Chill, you get so much attack speed bonus in terms of your harassment that you can singularly drive offlaners back by yourself. And even in a defensive challenge situation, not in an offensive challenge situation, he has the ability to just get a lot of experience on the back of pulls. And once he gets a lot of levels, Visage does scale remarkably well. And of course, he's naturally tanky, he has a lot of range. I mean, he can pretty much do it all for support, which is very, very powerful. But keep in mind, Liquid and Dignitas did pick him up, and then they dropped him for a bit. And then, of course, the Chinese teams made him a lot more famous these days. So maybe this is a trend, but at this point, it's looking unlikely, as Jakiro will be the 4th choice for Mouse, so they're getting a lot of teamfight on their side. And Navi, I mean, they're going to be facing up against Bo and a Darkseer, so will they have the damage output to sufficiently bring down Mouse? I'm not too sure.
I don't know. It'll be tricky. They got they being Mouse Sports, have a lot of spells that just kind of shut you down when you're trying to kill people, like Ice Path, Sleep, X marks the spot, and then Darkseer Sprint. It's going to be really hard to kill Mouse Sports, I think.
5 seconds remaining.
So, we'll see how that plays out.
Yep, Mouse gonna ban out the Luna. Interesting choice that I don't think would have been the call by Navi regardless, but maybe Mouse just don't want to play against Luna. Meanwhile, Navi banning out Alchemist, respecting Black quite a bit. And Navi with their last choice, we'll see what they decide to go for right now. They're probably looking for support to seal up their tri-lane, because Hivos does play the Gyrocopter, and surprisingly, Kuroki will get his famous Rubik, which has actually been fading out for Navi recently, not only because team banned a lot more against Kuroki, but it looks like Navi just want to expand the versatility of Kuroki, knowing that he's a very, very competent player and just been shying away from Rubik in general. But they're going to pick up Rubik for this game, so we'll see if Kuroki can manage to steal something, a wall, a boat, a vacuum. There are a lot of spells that can really benefit Navi in a team fight, and that might just single-handedly turn the tide, but of course Rubik will just have to position himself far away because these spells will have such range that they'll be able to catch Rubik no matter how far away he is, unless he picks up that dagger.
I mean, I am legitimately shocked that they didn't ban Rubik. Look at, I mean, the way Kunkka's combo works is you pretty much just always get both, because that's the last thing you cast. You're going to get Fiend's Grip, you're going to get Sven Stun, which wasn't picked until then. Like, Dual Breath and Ice Path are so good, and, like, Wall is really easy to get. So, I don't know, I think... Oh, wow, Puppy's on the Rubik. Maybe they'll switch. I bet they will.
I don't know. I think they want to get Visage maybe a higher farm priority, and usually they have Puppy playing the 5. But actually, I've seen Puppy play the 4 a couple games too.
They actually do it based on heroes, I think. So I guess having Kirky playing the Visage trumps Kirky playing the Rubik. Because Kirky always plays Visage, from what I think. I think that's the case, right?
I'm not too sure. I can't tell you for sure because, honestly, I have not seen too many Nami Visage games, to be quite frank. But in the games I have seen, I've seen Kuroki play Visage the majority of times. I can't remember if Puppy did play him once or twice, but going to the teams of players, they're going to have Sinrin playing Jakiro, and Sinrin in a tweet said he did have trouble drafting this news patch just because it's so new and so many heroes are powerful. So we'll see if his draft will shape up because it relies quite heavily on team fight. Fada is going to be playing the mid-solo Kunkka. Koikwa is playing the Darkseer in the offlane, Black is playing the Sven, and Pos is playing the Bane Elemental Mid on the side of Navi. We're going to have Puppy playing that Rubik, Havost is playing the Gyrocopter, Dendi is playing the Puck, Kuroki is playing the Visage, and Phonic is playing the Clockwork. In every single Navi game, this always happens with Dendi. Puppy just pulls him relentlessly.
Yeah, Puppy's really good at not having a lot of regen, but when you know for a fact that your tri-lane is going to be safe lane against an enemy solo hero, your supports do not need regen. Like, you can go to lane with, like, a Salve and a Clarity, maybe. Or, like, sometimes they'll even have nothing in some weird cases. But the point is, it gives your mid a huge advantage because you don't need the regen in your safe lane. If you're aggressive tri-lane, that's a completely different story, though. But
yeah, Navi, unlike some other Western teams, not really known for going for those early smoke ganks unless they have a jungler. I mean, when you see teams like Liquid or, well, basically just Liquid comes to mind right off the top of my head, they always have a smoke trying to get that early pressure going, but Navi more content on getting some early experience. They've been known to switch up their styles. Either they play super aggressive or they play pretty standardly. But Kunkka versus Puck mid lane, you said this is a very, very difficult matchup, as Kunkka does have a stout shield, not saving up for that fast bottle. And Dendi should just be able to roll over this Kunkka completely, especially without any support from his supports, as Koiko is going to be jungling it up, and Pos is just running in circles, deciding what he wants to do.
Huh. Yeah, I mean, both of the offlaners aren't really going to get a whole lot. Navi should win mid lane, and I think both supports are just going to chain pull.
Yep, as Black is just going to farm up. So this Sven choice, it gives Mouse a lot of damage potential, but with the BKB nerf being brought down to 4, I don't know, because Sven wasn't really buffed other than that, and I feel like the BKB nerf is actually really critical on Sven because he can be kited, and Navi's lineup, even though it's not the most mobile lineup outside of the Puck and perhaps the Visage with the Grave Chill, it's mobile enough to kite Sven around. But I guess Mouse is just relying on the fact that the teamfight can hold Navi in place for a sufficient amount of time that Sven can go to work. But yeah, the BKB nerf on Sven, I'm not too sure if there's going to be too many good Sven lineups anymore.
Well, if there is one, this is it, right? It's like a ton of AoE. You got Darkseer, you got Kunkka Boat. Like, there's so much AoE. Well, you got Twin Head Dragon, and also Clockwork doesn't completely wreck Sven anymore because you just don't like block him off with the cogs when he's BKB'd. But yeah, oh, what's he talking about? Abuse? Oh, is he trapping creeps? I think he did, and they caught off. Have you seen that thing, like how to trap creeps in the offlane?
Yeah, I did see it, but I can't see any creeps on the map.
Yeah, maybe
they
I'm guessing they caught up later. I don't know.
Well, that's interesting, but Black does not seem to be too phased as Phonic not even level 2 just yet. Meanwhile, Koikwa just farming this huge stack, going to be clearing out these Wildkins very, very easily, and all the while Havos is just going to be merrily farming away, and as is typical Navi fashion, they like to farm a Kuroki quite heavily, and Puppy's just sort of sacrificed to try to roam around and look for whatever openings he can possibly find, but if he doesn't find them, then he doesn't really mind too much. But so far, Puck vs Kunkka, it's rather even as here comes Puppy on the rotation. Gonna get a telekinesis off Dendi, not yet at full HP. Koga baiting out the torrent, but Dendy just going to do some right clicks, not throwing out an orb, knowing that with his current amount of HP pool, if he takes one torrent, he can most likely die. So just choosing to avoid that, drive Kunkka out of the lane, probably worth it in the end, as Kunkka has now used all his regeneration and still 80 gold away from that bottle. So mid lane will start to be a bit more in Dendy's favor.
Yeah, and it looks like Puck's just gonna bottle crow. So I guess that isn't completely removed, but yeah, he's just trying to phase shift stuff.
Yeah, it's more like what you said in the offlane, or in the analysis, that it's more restricted to offlaners who like to pick up a bottle, like heroes like Clockwork, Darkseer if he went for the bottle in this case, which I don't think he will. Probably just going to go back into the more traditional Soul Ring build that we've all known and loved for so long. But meanwhile, Puck just going to bottle crow it up. You can see the courier going to make it slow and arduous trek, and very nice job by Dendy, because he is going to save the speed up for when the courier actually gets to go back rather than all the way forward. But looks like he's just going to get a rune control.
This is what Black was talking about.
Yeah, Phonic is blocking out the creeps, just creating a little bit of path and using the cogs to siphon out the creeps, only allowing them to escape one path. And Phonic just doing this very, very nicely, but this is definitely not something that's intended as Clockwork cogs. Just too good in Dota 2, apparently.
Yeah, I think they might like take out a tree to make that fix. I don't know how else that you fix that, but I don't know, whatever. Black might go for Midas. I don't think he will though. I think he'll go for early stuff. But yeah, like you said, the problem with the early BKB is that, or like getting an early BKB is really bad on like late game heroes, and it hurts Gyro a lot. It hurts like SF. It hurts Sven, but it'll be tricky. And like Hervos will run into the same issue, just as he's going to take the last hit. Yep, there it is.
Yep, meanwhile Dendy gonna get harassed by Syndra on the middle lane, just gonna use 3 dragons, spitting out 6 heads of harassment onto Dendy, as Dendy's gonna face, he does have the orb, so Syndra knows he can't commit too much, but did manage to get a decent chunk of harassment onto Dendy, but Dendy gonna use that ball crow, and now look at the courier speed, 245 with the empty bottle. Dendy is going to be out of luck for a little bit, and Kunkka actually doing a surprisingly good job in this lane, just relying on his tanky ability, as well as the Tidebringer harassment, as Dendy not really doing that many phase shift dodges on the Tidebringer splash. Maybe he just wants to save the phase shift for any incoming ganks, since his bottom lane wasn't protected by wards, but it is a bit questionable to say the least by Dendy.
Yeah, well what Fit is doing is he isn't like he's missing less hits to get harassed, which sometimes it's worth it, sometimes it isn't, but he is, so.
Radiant's top tower is under
Yep,
attack.
and meanwhile Black is just continuously farming up, already picked up the Strength Tread, so not going to go for Midas, knowing that Sven probably wants to do the majority of his work early on, but still, he has a teamfight lineup, and teamfight lineups usually take quite a while to get into full gear, as Mouz just very contentedly farming up, not too much action in the early stage, but once again to the teamfights, we're going to really have to see how Mouz shines as Navi. Are we going to look for them to apply some early pressure, as here comes Jakiro in, as the orb has already been used. X marks the spot, going to be used on Dendy, as Torrent will zone out Dendy effectively. One more hit by Syndra will clean up the kill, and they also used or forced the Dream Coil by Dendy, so nice gank by Syndra. Waiting for the 6-minute mark, Dendy didn't have vision regardless, but still, waited for the orb to go out, and then they just got the X point. So that is why Kunkka is so strong against these very mobile heroes like Anti-Mage, like Puck. That X is such a useless spell. Even though it doesn't give flying vision, the fact that it costs less mana, I mean, just might make it even better.
Does the return cost mana anymore? I think someone told me it doesn't, but they weren't sure.
I think the mana cost in general has been reduced.
But you mean for just the cast? Or I know for the cast it has, but returning, like the sub ability you get, I don't know.
I'm
Like,
not
I'm
too
not
sure.
sure if that costs mana or not. Anyway.
Yep, as Black just going to farm up. So Dendy's Blink Dagger will be slowed down significantly, as he is not having too good of a time in the middle lane, and we're going to see a rotation by Phonic. Only level 2, so there's really not too much he can do. He has the boot speed, and that's pretty much it, as Mouz really not too affected by the creep block shenanigans of Phonic. I mean, sure, it delayed Black's farm, but Phonic forced to retreat regardless, recognizing he wasn't really accomplishing much. So far, Navi, even though they're winning the top lane quite heavily since they pushed the early tower, the other lane is really not going too well at all, as Phonic is severely behind in terms of experience against the Darkseer. Darkseer has a 4-level advantage, and it's always difficult for Clockwork to go to lane and try to steal experience away from an ally, as they're going to see Dendy being initiated on, and once again going to orb out, as the X unfortunately does not last long enough, as Dendy does time the orb phase, or the ethereal jaunt nicely, and will be able to escape the gank. But once again, Dendy going to be forced to use all of his regeneration, but we're going to see a gank coming in for Navi very, very soon.
Yeah. I think they might not be able to actually kill him. Kunkka's really, really tanky, and they don't have a lot of damage at all. So I'm not sure if this will actually work.
Meanwhile, Host phase boots as that Ring of Aquila. We'll see if he goes for the standard drone spell and Gyrocopter, as nice bait out by
Doubt
Fada
it.
once again.
people usually get the Aquila or like they don't normally get both. You know what I mean?
Good
Ultimately.
positioning on Sinner and on the high ground as the bow is going to fly and going to hit Funnick. No, it just barely was the rain sap, almost bringing Funnick down to 0 HP, but Navi will be lucky enough to escape. Did force out a teleport regardless, as most of Mouse's lineup were here to defend this, but still, they got away with baiting out the Dream Coil once again, so Puck won't really have any offensive capabilities for quite a while. So probably not worth it for Mouse in the end, but they saved the Pirate. That's pretty much all that matters, so in the end it was probably worth it. As Sven versus Gyrocopter just continue their farm wars. Sven looks like he's going to go for the straight up armlet, as Gyrocopter, interesting enough, going to go for the straight up BKB, as in this game, the BKB choice rush. Do you like it?
I like it. I like that Sven isn't doing it because he is going to run into problems later in the game when it isn't off, especially against that Clockwork. And I think I like it from Gyro simply because Gyro doesn't really have the same problem of having to like run through Clockwork cogs and stuff. So I actually like both item choices.
Yeah, and I guess Gyrocopter, he doesn't really have the benefit of tanking as much damage as Sven just on his natural armor boost from the
Yeah,
War
you're just
Cry.
going to sit in the back and Black Cannon, so.
But meanwhile, Black going to take a bitter assassin from Funnick as he is still only level 2. It's going to be very difficult for the Clockwork to actually get experiences. Nightmare going to go down, bypass onto Host. The first hit of Colin does whiff as here comes Croaky on the offensive. Host taking a lot of damage, will end up dying. No, nice micro by Croaky. Unfortunately, not enough. The second bird stun a little bit mistimed as I guess he did not time it appropriately as Bane will escape. Nice gank by Mouse onto Navi as Kuroki with the double familiar, not enough to save him. A bit of a misplay, and that did cost Devos' life.
I don't know if it was a misplay. If he did it earlier, I think that he would have got him anyway. Just because the other person, like if he does it earlier, the stun doesn't last for long enough for the person to run away. So it was like damned if you do, damned if you don't, right? So, I don't know. I'm actually pretty impressed with how well all the supports are doing on both sides, especially Bane and Kuroki. Like, they're both 6 already, and they were 6 at like 8-9 minutes, which is really, really big. They use their jungle really well.
But overall, in terms of experience, you can see that Mouse definitely has an advantage, almost 5k experience advantage, 10 minutes in the game. A slight goal advantage, but that's not really going to make the biggest difference. What is impressive is that Mouse has yet to take a tower, and they're still out-farming and out-leveling Navi. And Mouse's lineup, I feel like, does get stronger as the game goes on by quite a big amount, just because Darkseer is just the king of teamfights. As Kunkka, his rune, will be stolen from him by Jakiro, guarding it on the bottom lane. But still, Mouse, not too rushed at this point.
Yeah, I mean, they're kind of... I think they're going to try to start fighting around 20-25 minutes is when they're going to want to try to like push the envelope. But oh, sentries? Yes. Then he gets the other sentry down first, so they win.
Yeah, well, I mean, Sinner did de-ward the Observer Ward from the cliff, so I guess that sentry was overall worth it. As Denny gonna blink in, will cast Silence, just doing a bit of harassment as Navi was not there to reinforce, and Fada just gonna shrug that off. Still has 10 charges on his magic wand, as well as having a full bottle, so just a little bit of a waste of mana by Denny, but just showing him that he's still in the lane. Just can't be too complacent, but Fada just getting a remarkable farm. Looks like he's going to go for the drums, as Sven going to skip the drums in this game, as he is just having a field day on the spell main. They're really not contesting him whatsoever, and is this the right call? I'm not too sure.
Well, Gyro's got equal farm, or I would guess he does, right? Let me check net worth. Yeah, I mean, they're not going to neck. The real difference in the goal differential is, because Darkseer couldn't lane, he just went to jungle, like he doesn't care, but Clockwork can't really do that. So Clockwork, has he gotten level 3 yet? Let me check.
Dude, he's doubled. He's gotten level 4. Watch out, this guy.
Damn. But yeah,
as
that's
Caldown will...
where the difference is from.
Yep, Caldown will be used to clear out the creep waves. I think they were trying to catch Fada on the tip, but I mean, it's not the biggest deal to use the ultimate 55-second cooldown. Pretty good. Or maybe it's 60 seconds. I don't really know at level 1. Looks like it's 55 seconds at level 1. So Gyrocopter, not really going to be too plussed about that. As Meow, Nami going to use this opportunity to smoke up, but Sven, it seems like he knows something's up because he pushed the creep wave to the tower and just going to look to farm the jungle. So I don't know if Black has some sixth sense or if he just timed that really nicely. As
well, they're not top. And they're not mid. So, oh, Dendy mid, he's going to get gone on, he's going to orb backwards. Fada's going to X him, it looks like he's going to try to hit him. Will he phase shift? Oh, wow, that was really good. Oh.
Dire's middle
Bane
tower
comes
is
in
under
with the
attack.
brain sap, killing all
That's
the fun.
just rude.
As Mew on the bottom lane, Black gonna take a lot of damage from the rocket barrage. Here comes Fable flying in. Black did have the finish armlet, so he's actually quite taking an armlet toggle as if his life depended on it. As here comes in with the defensive ice path, and it only manages to catch Kuroki, but that will be enough to hopefully save the life of his carry. As Smart is there, gonna drop a defensive cogs, cutting him off, but Cinnamon still has a lot of mana. Will he cast another ice path? X gonna be used onto Most. Here comes Torrent as well. Caught on will land on Fada. Double damage. Kunkka doing a lot of work, but the call down actually hit both times onto Fada. He's going to take a lot of damage. He will end up falling. He didn't have the boat since he used it in the middle lane engagement, so Navi taking a 1-0 fight so far. Meanwhile, the Bane going to come in, actually gets pushed away by the cogs, going to get the Nightmare onto Funnick. Interesting usage of Nightmare, and now Bane might be in a lot of trouble. Here comes Ice Path, going to use to zone Dendy out. Nice Ice Path by Sinner's Ice Path's doing a really nice job cutting off Dendy from pursuing Pos. So it looks like when everything is said and done, it's going to be a 1-0 victory for Navi, but considering they did lose Dendy middle lane, for the Kunkka, I guess it was overall a decent engagement for both
No,
sides.
it was really, really good for Mouse, just because Dendy, if he survives that engagement, gets Blink Dagger. And what he's doing, when you get Blink Dagger instead of Treads on Puck, it basically means you're gearing towards like the first big team fight and trying to win that really hard, as opposed to winning skirmishes, which Treads really help you do with the Tread switching and DPS and like mana pool and everything. So basically, they said, we're going to try to prevent you from winning the first big team fight. And if he gets that dagger, like, all of Mouse wiped there. So while it was a 1-for-1, I think it could have been a lot worse for Mouse.
Yeah, and Mouse still holding on to a pretty superior experience advantage. I mean, 3 of Navi's heroes are behind the lowest hero on Mouse. So overall, Mouse looking in a very, very good position thus far, as their 2 highest level heroes are still very far ahead of the 2 highest level heroes on side Navi. Actually, I mean, if you look at the experience discrepancy, if you just look at the overall levels, Navi's very far behind, so Navi might actually take this time to farm up, but still, Mouse can farm faster, and they're going to be pushing a lot sooner, especially when Darkseer finishes up that mechanism, which he's still a decent amount away. No, looks like he's actually about 210 gold away from finishing that, as he will get that done in a hurry, and that means Mouse will most certainly gear up for a push.
Yeah, and I don't know if Navi's really going to be ready for that when they push. Like, Puppy has nothing. He's going to try to get level 6 soon. Visage has, I mean, he's level 6, almost 7, but he's got no items, no metal or anything, and it looks like there's going to be a smoke gang top.
Bo's gonna get Fiend Script up on the top lane. Here comes Puppy there to help out, but the boat gonna land square on Havos's face. One more hit by Fada will pick up the kill, and now Puppy gonna be in loud trouble. Here comes X onto Puppy as hasted. Fada just does not care. The Ice Path gonna actually hit the X into a very, very aggressive Ice Path, then pulling back into the Ice Path. Nice synergy by Mouse, using that as Phonic on the middle lane, gonna get pulled out by the vacuum. Koiko in a lot of trouble. Can he escape? He's so very tank, but the Dream Coil will be used to seal up the kill. So the fact that Navi did have to use the Dream Coil and they still lost 2 on the top lane, overall pretty good for Mouse regardless. Unfortunately, that is gonna delay Koiko's mech, but he is gonna have it in about 100 gold. So Mouse just seems like they're not really gonna be able to be stopped at this point. They're just doing whatever they want.
Yeah, Denny's, mid lane.
Oh, Ice Path gonna be used, but Dendy looks like he will escape, as Puck does have the dagger, and this could be the opening that Navi was looking for. Now they actually have a way to initiate and do a lot of damage with the long range backup from Visage if they manage to get a Blink Silence on to somebody like Sinern or even Koika before he can finish the mechanism, although it will be finished. But I guess the Bane, Sinern are going to be the most appropriate targets for Dendy to initiate on, and Dendy is level 11, so he does have a lot of damage up his sleeve.
Yeah, I think Black doesn't even, oh no, he did have a ward. I was just going to be really impressed that he dodged another gank, but that one there actually was a ward and they weren't smoke. So, yeah, I mean, Darkseer's going to have his mech up. It's no big deal. I don't know. Like, Navi has to fight just because of, like, when their lineup's strong. Like, they have to fight now. It's better for them to than to not. But they're going to be at a disadvantage when fighting anyway. So, I'm going to be surprised if Navi wins this upcoming team fight. I'm pretty sure that Mouse will just roll over them with Fiend's Grip and Boat.
Yep, and all the while, Navi gonna fortify their rune wards and just gonna have 5-man commit to this bottom lane. And so far, nobody on Navi really close to getting Mechanism, and Darkseer does have that Mechanism finish. No points in the wall just yet. I'm actually a big advocate of getting 1 level of wall by level 10,
Navi's got
but
an invis.
it's not really that big of a deal,
Dendy's got an invis. This is actually a really big deal.
as he will be able to spot out Black with the Iron Shell. They are gonna steal, I think, probably the Storm Hammer. No, they stole the Warcry. Still a decent ability, but definitely not the ability that Puppy was hoping for.
Yeah, and Black's actually been hiding that. ever since Puppy got 6. Every time he casts Stormbolt, he's been hiding it. He's done it like 2 times so far, but then he's gonna go in.
X marks the spot, gonna be used as Torrent will throw Havost up in the air. Here comes a bow. Black completely out of mana. Does get out the God's Ring. Has not yet used his armor. Dreamcoil gonna catch a multitude of heroes on the side of Mouz as the vacuum will be used to suck Daddy right back into the midst of everything. Mouz gonna take the 2-0 victory in this fight thus far as Black armor toggling did manage to dodge a majority of the Soul Stone damage, but still wasn't enough. X marks the spot gonna use on Krogi. He's just looking to throw down as much damage as possible before he dies, but still 4 kills being picked up by Mouz. Only 1 being picked up by Navi, as Black giving a shout out to his former captain saying, I got your number in this game, man.
Yeah, something about German, I don't know. These guys are all German, right? And so is Kuroki.
Yeah,
So.
Kuroki was the captain of Mouz before he left for Navi.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
But no bitter feelings, because I think there's like a long eloquent blog post that said, go on to greener pastures, Kuroki, we believe in you. And they're all still good friends and all that. I think Kuroki was signed or bought out by Mouz, or bought out by Navi anyway, so it wasn't a conscious decision. But still, I'm sure Kuroki not complaining, but he might not be too happy in this game, how it's shaping up thus far. As
Yeah.
Navi, what should they actually do at this point?
Pub stomp isn't really the right word, but I don't really know what else to call it. What should Navi do? They should farm. They should dodge fights really, really hard. Like, it's unfortunate that they went for fighting builds. Like, Havos went for a BKB and Denny went for like a rushed Blink Dagger. So that's obviously they went for fighting builds, but that's not gonna work. Like, they should just dodge fights really hard. Stack the Ancients, keep doing that. Try to get items up on basically just Havos and hope for the best. Oh yeah, you gotta have Clockwork suicide himself in with Sven too. And I think if you get a Force Staff up on Dendy, I know that's like another fighting item, which I said I didn't want them to do, but it's really, really good against this Sven. Like, you can just like Force Staff the Clockwork out, which normally he gets, but there's no way he's gonna get to it. So, I don't know, that's what I would do.
Yeah, I mean,
Obviously, I'm not Puppy, so he's gonna do something completely different and 10 times better.
Radiant's bottom tower
yeah, I
is
mean,
under
well, unfortunate thing for Gyrocopter, even though we sort of made light of it in the last patch, even though the team fight potential is still very powerful, as here comes the X mark spot onto Kuroki. Ice Path will be used. Here comes Bo gonna fly in, doing so much damage to Kuroki. Holy crap, Puppy gonna get himself Fiend's Grip of Funnick. Will be with the hook shot. Black gonna go in with the War Cry. Funnick will trap him in place with the Cogs. Meanwhile, Havos throwing out so much damage with this Flak Hand as well as his Rocket Barrage. Black will get cleaned up, as looks like Navi turning this fight around. Kunkka already bought back. He's gonna try to get an X off, but he doesn't have the boat. Will he follow up with the Torrent? Looks like he will not use that just yet. Ice Path gonna will hold Havos in place, but the familiar marker by Kuroki is still very, very strong. Gyrocopter will get picked off in the end, as it looks like Mouz will use this buyback to her advantage, as I don't know who actually won this.
Navi, they forced 2 buybacks and they got Sven, and they only lost Gyro. Or they lost Visage too, but who cares, right? I mean,
Yep, as Denny just gonna throw on as much harassment as possible, trying to delay the push. But Paz actually, is that a Blink Dagger on Paz? Holy crap, Bane with a Blink, 20 minutes in the game. Paz just ridiculously farm, certainly being trapped in place, in Jakiro with that incredibly slow casting point, just gonna get mauled by that Bounty Assault. Boat will be used by Fada to give him that debuff on damage, but Torrent by Kuroki as double waterfall action is gonna be used like Shadow Emmett will allow Fada to try to escape, but still not enough, as the damage by Navi was just too much. So Fada died, bought back, and died again. And overall, Navi, that is definitely a fight they were looking for. Again, the only downside is that they did lose Kuroki, or they did lose Puck as well as Gyrocopter, but in the end, most certainly worth it.
Puck didn't lose any gold. Like, he wasn't close to anything. He bought his treads, and Gyrocopter already finished his BKB, so it's like, who cares? What happened in that fight was Mouse, like, tried to dive under a tower, which, I don't know, it's kind of too much. And then Clockwork was already sitting there and he get hooked in, and like he split the team in 2, and he got the Sven like isolated from everybody, so Sven couldn't do anything, and the team was cut in half, and it was just really, really good play from Tonic.
Yeah, but still, Bane with the dagger, 21 minutes in the game.
Yeah,
I'm not
that's
seeing this
impressive.
every day.
Yeah, he's got the same amount of farm as Dendy. He actually does, like, it's the same.
That's pretty ridiculous.
Then
As,
meanwhile, Force doesn't die.
oh man, looks like Koikoi was picked off by Gyrocopter, but I was looking at the tower as Bane tried to blink in to try to snipe out that last hit on the middle tower, but Kuroki was there with the deny. And something that's a little bit funny for me is that actually I've seen this in a couple games, pro players using the familiars to stack ancients, but actually familiars aren't really the best at stacking the ancients, because they either die or they just fly over cliffs, and the ancients just are like, oh, whatever, we're just going to fly back. And actually going back to Gyrocopter point, even though in our patch analysis it was again just like couple seconds after the patch was released. Well, maybe a couple hours. But we didn't really talk about Jackcopter releasing a lot of his farm capabilities, and that's actually hurting us quite a bit in this game. But still, 2k gold in the bank. He's definitely not too starved for gold.
You can't really use it to power through the jungle anymore, and you can't really clear ancients as well when you're not... Like, when you have a lot of damage, it doesn't matter, but when you don't have a lot of damage, and it takes 2 rounds, like, it's going to take a full 10 seconds extra, which is a lot, really.
Yep, as meanwhile Navi gonna look to clear down Roshan. They have the medallion up on Kuroki, but Mouz gonna be more than happy to take this tower for their troubles. I don't think they're in position to contest this Roshan whatsoever, even if they teleport all 5 mid, as this Roshan will eventually die. And Mouz probably know that something's up, because clockwork rockets are still flying away, but it looks like they just don't care. Jackcopter will pick up the Aegis. But meanwhile, my eyes on Black. He does have that full 10-second BKB charge, and these BKB charges will be precious for Black going forward, as he needs to utilize them to their fullest, because 4-second BKB on Sven, not only that impressive, but this 10-second BKB on Sven should look to change the game in Mouse's favor, if they're not already in advantage, which they are.
It's a big deal, but I think Phoenix is just going to isolate him, die, and then that's going to be the BKB.
Yeah, Clockwork's kind of stupid.
Just a little bit, but at least it doesn't block like BKB to rage targets anymore.
Yeah, so I mean, when BKB will be activated, he won't get pushed back by Clockwork Cogs as relentlessly. But if he gets the Sven trapped in the cogs with him, trading Clockwork for reducing Sven's output in a fight, probably worth it. As once again, Puppey tries to steal Stormhammer, but once again, Black hit it with the Warcry. But now it is all 3 Warcry, so it's a bit more useful for Puppey in this situation. As Mouse looking to push to the issue, they have the armor up, but they are facing an Aegis up on Jackcopter, who's not in position, does have the TP to get back, but looks like Mouse just contentedly farming up the enemy's jungle, and actually going to place a very, very aggressive ward in the enemy's jungle, as they are going to back off at this moment. But
they had the Lothars up on Kunkka too, which Navi didn't know about, but it's really hard to push into like that much AoE and Clockwork and an Aegis, so they decided to back out, which is pretty smart, I think. I actually wanted to say I really like Kunkka's item build and skill build, so you always go for the Bracer on Kunkka, but he recognized that he was having a good game and said, I'm not going to even bother getting with the drums, I'll just get the Bracer and go straight for Shadow Blade. And he's also maxing X-Marks the spot, which people don't do, and I don't understand why.
Yeah,
like, people leave it at 2 points. Like, even Sing Sing, who plays that hero nonstop.
Yeah, I was about to say Sing Sing
leaves it at 2 points, and I don't understand. Like, just max it out. And if you have an internal clock that can do 2 seconds, there is literally no downside to maxing it.
No, there's an upside. If you have an internal clock, that's always going to be an upside, because the range increases to like 900 at its max level, which is pretty huge.
Sorry, I meant to say like that. I meant to say like if you have that, there is no downside. And whiff on the Phonics hook shot, swing and a miss, but I don't know if it was a dodge or just missed.
I think he might have been just outside the range, as I don't know. Even then, I don't know if Navi had the capability to follow up so close to the tier 1 tower, so it might have been a blessing in disguise. As Leon Paz just farming up, already picking up the Ogre Club, so he's going to rush that BKB. And once he picks the BKB Fiend's Grip, I mean, the only thing that can really get it is if Puppey grabs the Fiend's Grip and then Fiend's Grip Bane right back.
Huh. Well,
Dandy initiating on the top lane. His X will be utilized, phasing out and orbing out to safety will be the Puck, as he will escape. But not waiting long enough, but still, it's going to be hard to kill a Puck regardless of the situation, as Puck will escape for now. Not too much golden bank. Meanwhile, Cinneren checking out his items. Looks like he will finally finish his arcane boots at the very least. He's just been smoking and warding to his heart's content. Meanwhile, Quickwa looking to perhaps finish a pipe, and that pipe will probably be the time that Mouse will look to try to mount a push into the middle tier 2, or even try to get a tier 3.
I think they'll wait for the Aegis to fall down and then try to go on. I don't know how close he is to the pipe though.
Yeah,
he's not that far off.
He has the recipe. All he needs is one more ring of regeneration and the ring of health. So I guess that will be up by the time the Aegis does time out. But Vos going with an interesting choice, rather than going for something like a Demon Edge, gonna go straight for that Eagle Song. And I like this choice a lot because he wants to have that item advantage before Sven can pick up that MKB. And having the extra bit of evasion against the Dark Illusions, against the Sven hits, gonna be incredibly useful. And the attack speed and the armor that the Butterfly grants you, as well as the damage, definitely not, or can't be underestimated either.
Yeah, if you don't need the True Strike, and like you're not going to need it at any time soon, There's really no reason to get an MKB instead of Butterfly as your first item on Gyrocopter. Like, it just doesn't make any sense because the armor is really, really good and the damage is comparable, and you also get the increased attack speed. So, I don't know. I feel like a lot of Gyros just make MKB out of habit instead of thinking about it and going for Butterfly, which is a better item if you don't need True Strike. So, I'm pretty happy I did that too.
Meanwhile, Black actually picked up Mask Madison with the 10-second BKB charge as well as his armor and the armlet. This will mean he'll attack fast and furiously, but still, Clockwork will always have his eyes on him as Navi looking to concoct a push with the last remaining seconds on the Aegis. It will be timing out in about a minute, but still, Navi looking to push the issue now rather than later as Bane with that level... Oh my god, that's level 4 Fiend Script as...
Yeah, it's maxed.
Holy crap, I keep forgetting how far into Pasta is. Dang.
Yeah, that's really, really good. He's level 12, Jesus. I didn't even know it was that high. That's absurd.
I mean, Sinner's just taking all of the wards and all the smoke, playing like a true hardcore support. And I'm not gonna lie, it is nice seeing Sinner back in support capacity, which I think was his strongest role. But
yeah, I don't think he's that mechanically strong, but he's pretty smart at like being a playmaker and, you know, just knowing what to do.
But meanwhile, Black gonna happily clean up an Ancient stack, and Navi still probably getting out-farmed. Actually, Expanded Scarf has tapered out a bit after that huge team fight win for Navi, but now it's actually rising forward and forward in favor of Mouse. Mouse still have the goal advantage. And meanwhile, Navi, have they picked up any significant items? Clockwork looks like he's going to go for the Aghanim Scepter. And
no, it's a BKB.
Really?
Guarantee it. Yeah, it's a new thing that people are doing. Most of the time it's that when you go in and cog somebody, you can only really die to physical damage. And I don't really know if it's a great choice against, you know, a Clockwork and Sven, or not a Clockwork, against a Sven and a Kunkka, but he's doing it anyway. I mean, maybe it's an Eggs, but I'm pretty sure that's a BKB.
Well, I guess he doesn't obviously want to be vacuumed out of the cogs or anything like that. So I guess BKB can definitely work as well. We'll finish that Butterfly as, you know, Kuroki will go for a BKB himself as he's already picked up the point booster, and Kuroki hasn't been able to take up his
that's
farm.
an Eggs.
Yeah, sorry, Aghanims. That's just something that Visage is doing. God, mixing up my words. It's been a while since I casted guys and doing these Dota 1 first impression videos instead, as probably actually the Ghost Scepter are going to be pretty significant as the majority of massive damage, even though they have a lot of crowd control, a majority of their damage is actually physically based, so Navi picking up a lot of smart items with Mouse, going to take this opportunity to smoke up, knowing that the Aegis has probably just timed out on Havos. They're going to time their smoke gank appropriately, and Havos doesn't have buyback, so if Mouse win this fight, they will most certainly claim the tier 2 and provide a lot of pressure to the tier 3, but Navi just staying so defensively far back, as actually the center by Navi looks to be scouting out Mouse. I think it will give him enough vision that Navi knows what's happening, and yeah, Sinner's just going to run right by it, and he can't do anything about it.
Did you see what Dendy was doing? For a full minute, he was hiding in the trees. I couldn't figure it out. I think he was waiting for someone to push up and he was going to try to solo kill them, but I don't know. He was just kind of chilling there. It was really weird. It was like something you'd see Demon do.
Well, I mean, Dendy has a couple similar letters to Demon, so who knows? They could be brothers from another mother. Hashtag YellowSwag420. Meanwhile, Kuroki just continued to farm up, but no, it looks like he won't be in any bit of trouble, as this game going a bit slowly, but still a lot of maneuvering around, and Navi going to use this opportunity to smoke up themselves, and we'll see if they can catch anybody. If they do catch anybody, I don't know if they actually have enough damage. Well, I guess with the Butterfly up on Havos, they do have enough damage, and both teams bit hesitant to look for an all-out team fight engagement, and both teams hesitant to push in against each other because it's so damn hard pushing in against these sorts of lineups. So Navi looks like they're going to try to focus their efforts onto Kunkka, but they will be spotted out on the tier 1 tower. They're actually going to use the smoke to backdoor the tier 1 tower. It will get fortified, as Navi looks like they just wanted to use the smoke as it was running out to do something. So I guess they burned a glyph, but still, in the end, not too much came out of that.
Yeah. I mean, what else are you going to do, right? You go there, you don't find anybody, you say, hey, we got to hit the tower, right? But both teams are just kind of baiting really, really hard. Mouse is waiting for someone to TP to defend top tower. Navi's too smart. They're waiting for someone to defend mid tower. So, like, both teams are playing really, I don't want to say inefficiently, like it's a bad thing, but both teams are just kind of waiting for the other team to make a mistake instead of, like, aggressively farming or aggressively pushing themselves. So there's a whole lot of not anything happening right now. Well,
BKB is finished up on the Kunkka, and Navi, unless they manage to get Fiend's Grip, the only thing that stops the BKB are the familiar stuns. So
I mean, he'll get Fiend's Grip. You can't.
yeah, you can't stop
Like,
it.
he'll get it. You just get it.
Maybe he wants to get Vacuum instead. I don't know. Or Wall.
If he wants to get it though, like Mouse has to like put their entire team to go on him to prevent him from doing that, and at that point, like Gratz, you just use all your disables on a Rubik. So
Yep. As Puppy went for the more standard Rubik build. I mean, in some situations you do see people maxing telekinesis, but this case, getting that max null field on only 2 points of telekinesis is obviously enough,
Well,
as
Puppy's
that
getting
extra magic addiction will be quite useful, as Puppy gonna get X'd as well as Torrented. Black will come in with the Storm Arrow, and Puppy is gonna get absolutely obliterated. No back, so he's actually down for 40 seconds, and that should be enough time for Mouse to push down this tier 2 tower, and we'll see if Navi actually looks to defend this. Dendy looking to push out the bottom lane, trying to finish up his Hex, and Mouse actually lacking a creep wave. They're gonna be denied this push for the moment.
yeah, that's actually kind of surprising. I
But-
don't think that they would get choice, but it looks like they're just gonna go Mouse will just Roshan, then he's gonna farm bot. He's pretty close to Hex. He's like 3 or 4 minutes off if he farms really fast. Probably a little bit more. And Black's gonna pick up the Aegis, and I think they're gonna try to take all the crazy towers and maybe even base with that. Oh, never mind.
Rocket will be used to scout out Mouse all the while, as here comes Dendy in, coming in from the backside as he is waiting for his opportunity to initiate. Pirate already getting very low into his HP. Wall being used, but not hitting anything. Just going to be a panic wall, as Navi will take this time to get the heck out for the most part. Roshan still very, very low, so if they can manage to clean the Roshan after this wall, it will definitely be worth it. But Vos gonna charge himself right back in, quick, gonna search himself out, but nice familiar stuns by Kuroki, gonna hold Mouse in place. Dendy does not yet cast the Dream Call. No, I guess it was on Cody. He already used it. Black gonna be the first one die in this stage. He will be forced to go back. He does not give the Aegis, but I don't know if Mouse have enough in the tanks to take this Aegis. Synderen will be the next one to fall, as Mouse gonna get driven away. Roshan will fall. It's gonna be picked up by Host, as Navi just using better mind games, I guess, and better positioning to outskill, or not outskill, but just outplay Mouse in that particular engagement.
Outskill isn't a bad word for it. Navi just fought that fight better. Like, Mouse got the wall. They shouldn't have. They made a lot of, not mistakes, but they were really far spread out, and that's against like a puck who can just like run and pick people apart, and he kind of did. He was really, really strong. I think Navi just played better that fight. Like, that's the only way to say it.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
Yeah, I mean, it was a very, very odd engagement, but Navi in the end came out definitely on top. They don't lose anybody. They got an Aegis. They forced a buyback by Black, and he couldn't get back into the fight. And also will clean up a tier 2 tower, as Kun can charge forward very, very bravely. But I mean, that was pretty much the worst fight that Mouse could have possibly taken, so I guess it can only go uphill from there. They didn't get anybody in the wall, so I guess the
didn't
best
see
thing that could have
Spencer
happened
make
is that
sure.
Black didn't use 10-second BKB charge.
Yeah, that's something. I guess,
Something's-
you know, look on the bright side.
Yeah.
But Black's going to be pretty close to his big crit. He's a couple minutes off of that. And oh my god, they're actually going to fight.
Navi gonna go into a very dangerous situation with the Aegis up in the gyrocopter. He's gonna pop his BKB immediately. Danny will get a huge Dream Call, and San's gonna trap 4 people on Mouse. Bow will be utilized, but Mouse so low into his feet. Pipe will be utilized as well, as Clockwork will be the first on Navi to die. Mielvos being held in place by the Fiend's Grip, gonna get sucked back in through the wall, while being placed in a very, very soft position. This time Kuroki will be the next one to fall. Aegis has already timed out, or already expired on the gyrocopter, as was melted down by the Sven. Meanwhile, Nightmare will be utilized by Puppy on Black to try to escape, but Torrent being excellently positioned by Fada will throw Puppy up in the air, but Black actually using this moment to retreat. So Mouse, in the end, it was an even engagement because they got the Aegis up on the gyrocopters, and they kept 2 of their main farmers, so pretty solid engagement nonetheless.
Yeah, I'd say that's about even. I think it would have gone a lot better for Navi if Phonic's hook had connected, but I don't know. He hasn't got it quite today on the hook. Like in the last engage, he hooked his teammate and got stuck on the ledge. He's missed a couple. So while he's done really well for a lot of things, like he even cogs the Sven in that fight, I think he could just be doing a little bit better, and just I think he could like completely remove the Sven from the fights.
Yeah, I mean, when you think of Phonic, you don't really think of Clockwork as one of his main heroes, but, I mean, yeah, he could be doing things better, but he's already doing a lot of things well as well, but, I mean, there's always room for improvement for everybody, as Black just continuously farming up. Gyrocopter's actually finished Satanic, so he's actually been able to keep up with the Sven, actually very far ahead in terms of net worth, because Black did buy back, and Navi were able to claim 2 Roshans. So Black getting heavily out-farmed for once in his life by Havost, something you don't really see every day. And Clockworks finished his BKB, Denny's finished up the side device, which he did use in the last engagement. So, yeah, good for Navi. But meanwhile, Mouz picked up an item that I can't remember. My brain. I'm getting too old.
BKB on Conka?
Yeah, BKB on... No, he had that in the Roshan fight. They had something
I don't
else.
know. Then none of them have any like big new items. Someone's courier just died.
Oh my god, I'm just sort of losing it. It looks like Mouse's courier was the one that died, as Blink Dagger will be picked up by Rubik, so now Puppy will have that Blink Dagger to toy around with. As, oh, I remember what the item was. It was the BKB up on Clockwork, which I already mentioned. Derp.
Oh yeah, and then he BKB'd and died to Sven instantly, which is why, yeah, that's why I was kind of questioning it as an item choice, because it doesn't do anything against Sven, and that's who he's going to be going on. But yeah, it looks like Mouz is just kind of losing map control at this point. Like, Navi have won enough engages that, look, when one team's huddled on their tower, that team's usually losing the game. Like, it's way more complicated than that, but it's a pretty good indicator, I think.
Navi gonna once again smoke up as Mouse actually fighting without any wards. Is there a gem up on the side of Navi? As I don't believe there is, but still Navi with a remarkable job de-warding it up. As actually Mouse have more wards on the map than Navi, so I stand corrected. But Navi just gonna use this opportunity to smoke up. They have 3 familiars, so the Aghanim Scepter was finished by Kuroki, and that triple stun gonna lock people in place in the AoE for quite a long duration. Definitely not something to be underestimated. As
It's a lot of
Mouse
damage, too.
will back off. And Navi will back off as well, but so far, Mouse want to fight as a team. Navi just don't really care. They can farm separately, and they can be very happy in doing just that. Meanwhile, Mouse, they can farm separately, but looks like they don't really feel as comfortable without the appropriate measures of map control. But maybe it's time for them to take a risk, because they're definitely losing a lot in terms of map control. Even though they're not losing the game just yet, it's getting a bit iffy for them, even though they still have a really strong teamfight lineup.
I mean, I wouldn't count them out at all. Like, they have 2 heroes who are really, really good at critting and winning a fight. Probably the 2 best. So, really, all it takes is 1 crit and then they'll just win. Theta, all he has to do is sell his bottle and he'll have something. And poor Rubik.
Puppy gonna blink away, but it's too late for you, my friend. You were extra ice path. They're gonna pop the Ghost Scepter, delay your fate for now, as Brain Sap will be used, but won't get amplified because it's pure damage. The triple familiars will be used to try to save Puppy as long as possible. As actually, looks like Puppy stole the X and send it right back. Fada just gonna, you know, casually stroll away, but at the very least, familiar survived, so a bright spot for Navi. Meanwhile, Denny just continuously farming up. So both teams just once again playing very conservatively. I would have thought that once Mouse finished the pipe, they would have been a bit more aggressive, but I guess it's
They
just...
lost the fight, like, immediately after, you know?
Yeah. It's just way too difficult pushing in against Navi in a choke point against Clockwork and Visage
Clock and Gyro is so hard to deal with.
Puck.
They really are. Those are 2 just, like, annoying heroes.
But if all of Mouse are alive, it's going to be equally, if not more difficult for Navi to push in. This is just going to be a very, very Mexican standoffish game until the next Roshan respawns.
Yeah. And you know what? Mouse might even dodge that team fight. If Navi has map control, I think Mouse might let Roshan go, because it's not, like, amazing on anybody. It's pretty good on Gyro, but it's not, like, the be-all, end-all on that hero. And Sven's going to pick up his big crit, so that's actually a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, especially since Gyrocopter Flecken duration was nerfed, so now if it respawns, he might not have the Flecken, as Fire just going to spam those boats since he has a little 1640-second cooldown. Looks like he's just going to use it freely and without too much regard for those creeps' lives, and now we're going to rotate and kind of just going to farm up, as meanwhile, both teams farming up very considerably, as Navi is actually taking the lead in terms of experience advantage, and Mouse still maintaining a slightly in terms of gold advantage, but Navi definitely have just one more tower to name, but there was Roshan's definitely coming back to haunt Mouse a little bit. Otherwise, they have much bigger lead in terms of gold grab, but the fact that they're still leading is definitely pretty good, as if you look at the buyback status, only Gyrocopter has buyback, nobody else does.
Well, they don't have to worry that much, because all their lanes are pushed, and they have all their tier 2s, so they can afford to buy items, you know?
Yeah, I mean, if you lose a fight, then at the very worst, you might lose your tier 3 if you use the glyph, and that's pretty much it.
I actually really want to know what Denny's going to go for his next item, because he's probably going to get one, but I've never seen him get past Hex really on Puck, so I want to see what he does.
E-Blade?
Huh. Oh, Kunk is going to dodge the torrent.
Well, Vost gonna get away, so I guess that's one advocate of not maxing the torrent. A little missed time, but I don't think that would have given Mouse the initiation they needed to go in and fight. Or who knows, search Black in could go for that fact. Black is going
Oh
to
my
clear out
god,
the creep
this
laser
is
relentlessly.
that's really annoying.
The familiar's just gonna do all their damage, then heal up, then do all their damage again.
Yeah.
Familiars, they don't count towards backdoor regen, do they?
I don't know. I'll be honest. I don't know.
I know it didn't used to. I don't know if they fixed it or
Yeah,
not.
yeah. Same. My knowledge only extends that far.
Remember the old when Drow with that global
I saw
damage
that
aura
video.
with the
That was absurd.
familiars. As Meow Fada gonna run in, we'll spot out a majority of Navi's lineup. As Meow Gyrocopter gonna stroll in very confidently. Here comes Bane. We'll get the Enfeeble off onto the Gyrocopter as Navi looks like they're in a bit of a shaky situation. Havo's already forced to pop his BKB, gonna charge in very confidently. Here comes Rubik with the telekinesis, gonna lift Black up in the air. He has not yet popped his BKB, we'll just do that. As Stream's Grip will go down onto Havost, gonna trap in place for about 3 seconds, but Jakiro will be the first one to die. Meow Havost will die as well, and he does have enough money for buyback. He will actually buy back as the BKB has run out on spend, and that is gonna be the cue for Navi to get the heck out of there, as Croaky will likely be chased down and slaughtered, as Croaky actually very fast to the Grave Chill, and Mouse is just going to choose to ignore him for now, can instead defend their bottom tier 2 tower, may look for the deny, but overall, Mouse, 1 for 1, they forced a buyback on Gyrocopter, but they did use another BKB charge upon the cook-up without winning a team fight decisively, so that definitely favored Mouse, but still, it could have gotten worse for Navi, considering that Gyrocopter expended his BKB so very early.
The fact that he bought back was really, really bad too, I think. I don't know. He didn't really accomplish anything with it. I want to say, Haas was my MVP for that team fight. Like, getting me Enfeeble off, it's 120 damage and there's 6 hits. And basically every hit's going to hit most of the people. Basically every single person on his team took like 700 less damage than they could have if that Enfeeble doesn't go off. And then he gripped him. Like, that was a really big deal.
You know, Gyrocopter picking the damage will most likely go for the MKB, clearly not threatened with the Rapier just yet. As, I mean, if he is sent a Rapier, then it might just be Currents, but even then, it probably won't be likely that it will be a Rapier, but still, it is in the back of everybody's mind. Phonic not able to pick up any sort of farm, as, Navi, the Roshan has to respond, as Host would have probably been responding at this moment, so maybe that's why I've bought back so early. But Mouse definitely in a solid position. They have all their ultimates up, minus the Fiend's Grip, and Navi have all their skills up as well. But still, Darkseer in the Roshan pit, I still think is the MVP for most of these games. We'll see if that's going to come to fruition in this upcoming engagement, as Navi taking this Roshan down very, very low. Mouse looks like they're not even going to respond, as they are clearly mistiming something, or they're underestimating the damage output of Navi, as they're going to give themselves a free H's and cheese, and Mouse just forced to scratch their heads, wondering what actually happened.
Oh, you know what happened? A lot of times, I'll talk about this after this fight, because I think something's going to happen.
Well, Havos going to charge in very confidently, going to try to clear out the enemy jungle, but now knows that he will be hunted down, and he's so far away from his enemy team, he has no choice but to try to escape. He will be forced to use the BKB just to run, and that is going to be his 6-second BKB, so only has 5 and 4 seconds left. And Mouse can use this opportunity now that BKB's on cooldown to actually push in, not really caring too much about the Aegis, but Puppy will teleport to defend this tier 2 tower. Mouse, I think they should have the advantage of this team, but there is an Aegis on Gyrocopter nonetheless.
And donk. It's like the most satisfying sound in Dota. But
Yep.
Here's what happened, I think. A lot of times when you just take Roshan isn't contested, you write it down and it's still the second, right? And then you just know. But when there's a team fight going on at Roshan and like 2 teams are in the pit and Roshan goes down like in the middle of a fight, I don't know a whole lot of people who write down Roshan like exactly to the second when that happens. Maybe they were 30 seconds off and then they show up and whoops, too late.
Yeah, and also they could have had bad memories of the last Roshan engagement. Clockwork Puck still did a lot of work, and Gyrocopter most certainly get the majority of his fly can DPS out on the side of Mouse. Is Dendy going to break in with the Hex? Dreamcoil going to trap 2 of Mouse Zero's inside. Mechanism will be used by Mouse to heal them up somewhat. Puppy will get something stolen, does get the dual breath, but Nightmare going to be uncertain by the ban until he is going to steal that, as it's just going to be a mass Nightmare party exchange. As in the end, Navi used the coil and the Hex, but not going to get too much, but still not losing anything either. They didn't lose the Familiar, as a nice resummon by Kuroki will manage to save all the Familiar's lives, as he's not even level 16 yet, so those Familiars can still get even more powerful.
Yeah, how much do they hit for at max rank? Like 120, I think?
Yeah, I think
150. Wow, yeah, that's what Ags, it's 150.
dang.
Yeah, I don't play that hero that much, so my bad.
You know, I have perfect micro skills.
I don't.
Dang.
You know what? I just don't have it.
Y'all, Black sitting on a trust run of 5.1k gold. Definitely has enough for buyback, and starting to get the point where he can get a pretty solid item as well as having that buyback. Probably looking to get something like a heart or an AC, but I don't know if he went for something different, then I wouldn't be too shocked. I just can't think off the top of my head what it would actually be. Heart and AC probably are the likely candidates.
Assault, I think, might be better. Oh, wow. Nope, he's going MKB. He wants the True Strike.
Ooh, so he is a bit annoyed that Gyrocopter is dodging the majority of his physical attacks, and he knows every BKB charge is precious, so if he doesn't manage to get up close in Gyrocopter's face, it's going to become more and more difficult as this game goes on. So May just looking to isolate the Gyrocopter and killing him off ASAP, but Avos going to pick up his own MKB, and he has Satanic on top of his already impressive item slot.
Interesting mechanic interaction with Sven and MKB. When you hit somebody, the cleave automatically hits people that with True Strike. So if you hit somebody who doesn't have Butterfly, the person behind them with Butterfly isn't going to be able to dodge the cleave. And cleave is 65%, so you have an option of not hitting the Gyrocopter and trying to kill him with the cleave damage, or just going straight on him and buying an MKB, but then you have to spend a full item on it. So some people do it, some people don't. It really depends on the team composition.
Meanwhile, Sven with 400 last hits in this game, as both teams once again playing super conservatively, knowing how difficult to break the enemy's base of each respective squad, can instead wait for the next Roshan, which is still around 6 minutes away. So this game, very, very slow pace, but still very, very tense, as both teams clearly want to get off to a good start. Keep in mind that this tournament, if you're one of the top 3 or 4 finishers, you get to go to DreamHack Valencia, all expenses paid, I think. So that's definitely something worth playing for, even if the prize pool isn't as big as some of the other LAN tournaments. The fact that you will be able to play it on a LAN setting is quite important, but it looks like Navi going to be the first one to blink there, making them confidently towards the top lane, as Mouz not in position to defend, may thinking that Navi will not go for that, but actually choosing just not to defend this tower at all, going to give it up for free, perhaps realizing that it's not high enough HP to warrant a full-on defense.
Yeah, I think at this point it's really hard to say.
Dude! I told you! Dendy, you played! I'm a genius.
You know what? It makes a lot of sense, because you can just E-Blade the Sven and then he can't hit anything.
Yo,
I like it. I think it's pretty good.
all he needs is a Dagon.
You know, I legitimately wouldn't be surprised if Dagon 5 was his next item, just because he has the E-Blade. But, like, late game puck items are always tricky. I think a refresher would be really, really good, because then he can E-Blade Sven 2 times, he can Hex him 2 times, and then Sven can't do anything. But, I don't know. Nobody builds that item on puck, and I think it's pretty good.
As Meow Gyrocopter going to charge forward ahead without any backup by his team, but Mouz still very intimidated. Did know that his team wasn't with him, but probably not confident in the fact that they could bring him down. And the Aegis was, of course, still up on Novost. Meanwhile, wards plenty being placed all over the map. Neither team deciding to buy a gem just yet, as one team doesn't have map control, the other team just says, we don't need a gem, why risk it? As they're just going to continue to farm in front of everybody's face, and Navi just using his opportunity to try to get more and more ahead, because the Aegis is timing out, and so they look like they want to get as much map control as possible before the next Roshan respawns.
Yeah, you know what? I'm really impressed with how Navi's managed to come back into this game. They were losing by a pretty hefty amount, but they're, I think, by most metrics, they're winning right now. Mouz is going to smoke out and try to take them, and this fight can really go either way. So Puppy's going to react, blink it, and that's going to give away the smoke. Navi's probably going to dodge this fight because they don't have vision.
Actually, Avost charging ahead, but did get the cheese transferred to him by Dendy, so at least he has a little bit of insurance policy, along with the Satanic, as Funnick canceling the hook, actually does manage to get a hookshot initiation onto Black, will get the cogs in place, but immediately destroys the cogs, as Black will get pushed ahead. Avos going to be in Macho, taking so much damage. Can he pop the Satanic in time? Will pop the cheese instead, going to pop the Satanic as well, but still so many crits being thrown out by Black. Will immediately kill down the Gyrocopter. Meal, a nice vacuum wall will trap 2 of the heroes of Navi inside. Puppy gonna get stun placed. Nice face by Dendy, gonna escape the majority of stun damage, but still gonna get absolutely obliterated. 1830 crits being thrown out by Sven is no joke, as Navi perhaps it's time for them to consider all getting E-Blades, because this Sven just does not care.
No joke indeed, B-Ballin. I told you one crit could turn around, like, just turn the game around, and I'm pretty sure Sven got like 4.
he got at least 3.
Yeah. That's... I think, what's the Sven voice line for when you get Daedalus? It's, "This is going to be absurd," or whatever it is.
I don't know.
It was a little bit absurd.
The unfortunate thing for Mouz is how much can they really do with this? As, I mean, yeah, they got themselves. They're probably winning the game because now they know that they can take down Na'Vi in front of their base. But unfortunately, they're not able to get any towers. They're not able to get too much map control back on the sides. The only thing they're getting is probably control of their own jungle back. So, I mean, that was definitely a bad loss for Na'Vi, but all things considered, it's not going to be the end of the game nearly by any long shot just yet. The next Roshan will probably be the deciding point because Sven definitely wants the Aegis or the cheese because his BKB, I'm sorry I keep stressing it, but it's running low. 7 seconds is 1 less second than he had previously, and even though he's killing everybody, the fact that he can be locked in place is very, very concerning for Mouz to say the least.
You know something? I'm expecting a rapier this game. I think there will be one. Sven can get an AC or a heart. He's got a lot of damage, so he probably doesn't need it. But Kunkka, he'll get a heart or a rapier. Like, if they lose a fight and need to make something happen, I think Kunkka will get a rapier. Like, oh, will there be a fight? Yup, hookshot will connect.
Dire's top tower
Looks like Puppey will get a lift off onto Cinnamon. Missile will come in place. Funnick will get the hook shot on him. Will Mouz actually take this fight? Looks like they're just going to leave Cinnamon for dead, saying he's only a twin-headed dragon. We don't really need him. Cinnamon, unfortunately for him, does not have buyback, but this Roshan looks like it won't respawn before Cinnamon is alive, so Na'Vi might choose this opportunity to apply a bit of pressure, but now looks like they just want to get control on Mouz's jungle once again.
Yeah, but yeah, like I was saying, if either team loses a fight, Kunkka could build a rapier if he absolutely has to, and Gyro could build a rapier, like if they lose a fight and he needs an item. So, I think we might see a rapier this game. I'm hoping, I don't know. It never seems to happen. I'm always like, oh, we might see a rapier, but we never do. But I think it might actually happen this game, and you can laugh in my face when I'm wrong.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to see a rapier on Mouz's side, it'll definitely be on the Kunkka rather than Sven, because Sven is always going to be the primary target, and he doesn't really need a rapier to do so much damage, already getting 1830 crits off on his own. But meanwhile, Kunkka, not only will he just be able to stay in the back because of the immense range of his Tidemerger, he'll also always get the boat buff onto at least himself, because the boat will, of course, always graze him at the very least. So, my 50% damage will definitely mean a lot in these upcoming engagements, so... yeah, Kunkka probably the likely candidate for rapier on Mouz's side, but we'll see if Mouz feels like they're in such a position that they need to get it. Maybe they will very soon. If they're probably going to start considering it very heavily if Na'Vi take the next Roshan, as they have been so apt to do in the past. As Roshan has just respawned, and both teams already doing their deadly there. Here comes the initiation by Funnick. Got to snag past such a huge portion of Mouz's utility, as they're going to immediately kill off Pasta, but nice vacuum wall combination. Going to hold Hibos in place. Hibos just being slaughtered. Oh my god, he absolutely got obliterated by that Sven once again, and the Darkseid with a really nice vacuum wall combination. Gonna force Na'Vi to retreat. Funnick will be able to escape just barely, but this will mean an Aegis and a cheese for Mouz, as Gyrocopter does have enough for buyback. Does he have it? He does not. Still 2 minutes on the cooldown.
He doesn't have to, though. I mean, they can't contest Roshan either way, so he's probably just going to hold it. And, oh, this is absurd. Visage Birds are just pushing out lanes. It's like Furion, but worse.
Nothing so bad as Furion. I mean, at least Visage Birds lose the damage and can't push Nilius fast enough. But
That's true, but there's a 0 risk involved with the birds.
that's true.
Well, a little bit, but...
Well, Aegis has been claimed by Mouz. We'll see if they use this opportunity to push in. Kunkka gonna pick up the cheese. Meanwhile, Sven not picking up the Aegis. Actually, Darkseid picked up the Aegis, so interesting choice that they're not gonna give Black either of those items. Instead,
Sven's
Black,
item capped.
yeah, he's item capped, but I don't know, maybe it's time considering selling the armlet?
I think Armlet goes for a AC,
Yeah.
and then he's gonna get BOT. He might do it in a reverse order, but I'm pretty sure that's what he does. Because he doesn't want to get rid of Mask of Madness until he can get a full Satanic, so...
Yeah, and Mask
And at
Madness...
that point, you need the attack speed from AC, so you need to get AC first, right? I think that's how... I think that makes sense.
I mean, Mask Man is such a necessity, because you see if Gyrocopter, there you forced to use all of his disables on him. If he's left alone, he could get Satanic up, and the attack speed definitely instrumental in contributing to a lot of Sven's critical strikes. But meanwhile, Navi once again able to regain rap control, so seemingly Navi, despite losing the last team fights, not too phased by these sort of unfortunate turn of events, but still, they've got to be feeling a bit worried because in the last engagement, Bane was hooked and just completely shot out of the fight, and Darkseid was able to get in. Imagine what Mouse can do if they manage to get the whole team fight lineup. It could look like another repeat of a bottom lane massacre that Mouse previously contributed in, and they might just get really, really far ahead. You can see the experience advantage firmly on the side, although experience advantage at this point in the game, a bit dubious. Goal advantage not really favoring Mouse that much, but still, it might be more and more if these team fights continue to go bad for Navi.
Well, I was wrong. I'm pretty sure Sven's going to go for an ace, or not an AC, an Abyssal Blade. Which, you know what? You never see that item on him. And it makes sense, right? If he gets a bash on one person when he's in Mask of Madness, that person dies.
Yeah, and also having that reliable way to lock down Gyrocopter. Anybody's close to him may just look to lock down the Clockwork if he just manages to catch him in the cogs for a moment. As Navi, Clockwork gonna pick up the plate mail, looking to pick up Shiva's most likely. Kroki's actually has the gem. Puck unable to make any sort of progression. Yalvos has died a couple of times. Still has close to 500 CS, 57 minutes in. Not too shabby in terms of farm, but still has been struggling a bit in these team fights because Mouse has just been doing a nice job focusing him down. And meanwhile, Puppy, not too much as Sven has finished the Abyssal Blade. We'll see if this is the moment that Mouse has been waiting for. As do you think it's the best choice by Mouse to constantly huddling up together rather than just split pushing a little bit with Darkseer or the Kunkka?
I'm sorry, I couldn't really hear that. You've been robotic for me for like the past 10 minutes, so could you repeat?
I said, do you think it's the smartest thing for Mouse to constantly be huddled up as 5 rather than split pushing with Kunkka or Darkseer?
I don't think they can split push against the Puck. He'll just hex you, and he can solo kill most of them, and if there's just one person with him, like, he'll deal a lot of damage really fast. So I think Mouse is making an okay decision.
Well, Mouse managed to get a creepy Equilibrium pushed up to a sufficient point that their tier 3 towers won't be in too much danger. Looks like they're going to go for it and push. Looks like they're going to get the vacuum up onto Funnick. He's forced to pop his BKB immediately as the bird's going to lock Black in place. We'll see if Kroki going to get a resummon off rather than sacrificing his birds to the wolves. The birds will just fly away for now, and that is going to save Mouse, or save Navi a bit of gold. Meanwhile, all the while, Havos pushing out the bottom lane. Mechanism will be utilized. Denny gonna get the Blinking Silence up onto the majority of Mouse squad, but they're gonna have to pop the pipe and proceed to go in. The glyph has been forced by Navi, as meanwhile, Puppy gonna cast his Fable, trying to reduce as much damage as well as harassing Mouse away, as Havos simply does not enough damage. Mouse will clean up the tower despite them having a shorter time at it, as Dendy will get a huge 4-man Dream Cold. Funnick is there with the hook shot, as well as the battery cell, gonna hold Black in place. Keep in mind, Black does not have the Aegis or the cheese. He will be locked in place. Vacuuming wall will get everybody inside Navi, as Citron will be thrown away. Meanwhile, Quaker looking to retreat on out of there. Black will be buying back, gonna look to drive Host out of the base of Mouse. Will protect their barracks at the very least, as meanwhile, Pops will blink in ahead, gonna get the Nightmare off onto Host. This could be very, very huge, as Host looking for a couple crits. Sven will get 2, and we'll be able to finish off with Vost. So it will be, I guess, I don't know who won that fight. It's hard to say. I guess.
I think Mouse played that perfectly. So it was really good that Havos was split pushing, right? So he's split pushing, and they TP back Bane, and that was a really good decision because they can hold him in place for like 7 seconds with the Nightmare, and then they can Fiend Script him for, what is that, like 5 seconds? So he's there for 12 seconds, meaning that Mouse have like 12 extra seconds to hit the racks. I don't think they were able to get it, were they? No, they weren't. But in the meantime, Navi uses all their stuff, Mouse gets her retreat, TP back to base, and then kill Havos. So that's a really big deal. And Kunkka is just a disappointment to everybody because he's going to pick up an AC.
So Sven, since he did go for the Abyssal, looks like Mouse wants to get a bit more minus armor on the Navi buildings, as well as increasing their own DPS and increasing their own armor value, yada yada yada. A bit surprised no Vlad's been picked up. Might be a consideration for Mouse, especially since they already fished the AC, not the armor bonuses do stack. So I think that's a very, very valid option. I'm a bit surprised that Mouse has not yet chosen that route so far. I guess Sinner is just too poor and Pos just finished the BKB.
Later, but you don't want your Bane to get it because you want him to rush the Blink Dagger, and then you need him to get the BKB because he like already committed to that. So like, who else is going to get it? You know, DS is going for big items. He's got a ton of stuff. If he can get Refresher, that would be huge, or even Ashivas. But I think Refresher would be better on him.
You know,
just because you have the double wall, double hex.
most wisely not buying out, knowing that the creepy golem was pushed in such a way that he was not forced to buy back, and he knows he might need it for the next Roshan engagement, which will happen in the next 4 minutes. And Mouz, I think they did use the cheese. Yeah, Darkseer did not use the Aegis, but Kunkka, I think, was forced to use the cheese to avoid dying. But meanwhile, Mouz will smoke up. I don't know if that Navi ward did catch the after effects of that smoke to see. It looks like Navi are suspecting something. They're going to back up accordingly. And Mouz...
Big item alert. Hex got picked up.
On who?
Sven's BKB is only at 6 seconds. Like, that's a huge deal that they have another
Dire's
Hex.
top tower is under attack.
Oh, Kuroki picked up the Hex. Damn,
Dire's
Visage.
top tower
So
has
farmed.
fallen.
Yeah, he's just been farming with his birds. And, oh god, this is gonna be bad.
Oh, Navi gonna smoke up. Denny will get a huge 4-man side's gonna get a nice dream call. Here comes the call out doing a lot of damage. But meanwhile, 2 immediate pickups by Navi. Actually, Mouz is getting completely wrecked. And Black, he's gonna die. He does not have the buyback. Wow. The familiars and the dream call just kept Mouz in place for such a long time. And that's smoke to see. Man, if smokes ever win a game, that is the perfect example of doing just that.
And does Sven have buyback? Yeah,
He already
does,
used
right?
it. No, he already used it because he died in the base
Oh.
assault.
Well, that's a Rax. I think only one.
What happened in that team fight? Just stuns and stuns and stuns?
Ah, I couldn't. It was hard to follow. It happened all in 1 second. I'm pretty sure. Oh my god. If there's a crit, this is like a huge deal. But he's just gonna get hexed, and boat's gonna fly in. I'm pretty sure that's Puppy's boat. Yes, it was. And Faded doesn't kill anybody, and he's gonna die.
Yeah, one pirate cannot do enough, especially without any crits, as the wall just gonna, you know, just
Be there, exist.
exist, as Kunkka already did buyback since he did die in the last engagement, and the 6-minute buyback cooldown actually hurting Mouz quite a bit, even though Sven wouldn't have been able to buy back regardless. Actually, he might have been able to buy back in 1 more minute, and Sven will be responding relatively soon, but Navi will be able to clean up their second set of racks, and Mouz suddenly in a huge disadvantage, because now, since they were already having a lot of map control, they're going to be able to get even more map control. We'll see if Navi will look to end the game, or just look to play a bit more conservatively. No, Navi gonna actually rotate to the bottom lane, knowing that Kunkka as well as Darkseer won't be alive. They think they can handle Sven, and I think they might be right with the double hexes online. They're gonna go in for the bottom barracks, and Navi, in one fell swoop, just gonna end the game. What the heck?
The Kunkka going in and dying was a really, really big deal. He should have known that they were going to lose the racks, and he should have backed out.
Well, Black gonna do what he can. He doesn't even manage to get a single hit off. Life is hard for Sven as Puck. We are gonna see Rapier in this game. It's gonna be the
Yeah,
Puck.
the Crystallis, too. But yeah, I think
Radiant's middle
a lot of
tower
times,
has fallen.
like, if you're the only person up, but you're, like, an important person, you just have to accept that a Rax is going to go down, and then you back up, wait for your team to respawn, and then defend the next one. But Kunkka went in and died, and then they couldn't defend at all, so... I don't know. Overall, though, I feel like Fada played really, really well, and I don't want to seem like I'm ripping on him, because I'm pretty sure, like, every single person in this game played really well. But, yeah.
Yeah, just one small mistake, and Mouz felt like they had to defend because they had worked so hard to get that map control back. But in the end, Navi just proved that they were superior in a late game situation. You rely on the experience and definitely coming out ahead. So what a team fight, as the familiar stunts, the silence, the Drinko being popped by the Puck. Really nice play by Dendi overall in that team fight. The flat hand, the call down hitting everybody. Every single spell inside Navi, I think, did manage to land. So I think that's what won them the team fight. And Mouz just could not respond. So hopefully you enjoy that game. Navi going to take a 2-0 series victory over Mouz in this Raidcall Dota 2 League match Season 3. Thanks for watching. Shouts to ShredKid. Follow him at Twitter /ShredKidDota. And we will all see you next time. Peace.